break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. Taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you, I ain't never. So let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. I'm taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you, I ain't here to make.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Opinions of the Uninformed. Now, this week, of course, we are doing Twisted Metal. Now, so before I get to any of that, I should probably introduce myself. I am Jay. I am no longer a streamer, so I will not refer to myself as Firefly Zero. However, I am joined by my good friend and amazing buddy, TJ. TJ, the proper TJ. Tell some people about yourself, mate. Tell them about yourself.
Yeah, I am still a streamer over on Twitch under the name The Proper TJ. Streaming horror on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Yeah, that's me.
He's an amazing streamer, guys. You should always, if you can, follow the link below and just check him out because I love hanging out in TJ's streams. Now, I suppose I should approach things for our regulars. I no longer stream simply because my life has gone through X amount of changes and you've got to make X amount of changes. But I never wanted to give up the podcast because I always enjoyed doing the podcast. And unfortunately, I can't commit to the lifestyle that is the streaming lifestyle, which is, you know, you got to dedicate X amount of time each week to sit and talk with people. Now, TJ is a maniac, and he decides that he wants to do all of it. It's no holds, no bars. He just wants to, fuck it, I'm just going to do it.
I'm just very lucky that I have an understanding wife and daughter.
You do. My wife is also understanding, just before I tarnish her.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mean it that way. I wasn't throwing shade.
He was. Don't listen to him, kids. But no, seriously. Katie is very understanding. It's just ultimately it was my choice. We spoke about it, and I decided that I had to stop the game. So Firefly Zero, I am no more. I am Jay Morris. You can find me on nowhere. So you'll find me here, and that's it. But right, anyway, moving on. TJ, how's your week been, dude?
My week's it's been an interesting week actually because I'm actually I tell you we've just gone on this whole thing about streaming, but yeah, I'm actually just taking a little break, like taking a week's break, like just because things, you know, life is busy and hectic enough as it is, and then you throw streaming into it as well. And anyone who tells you that streaming is easy and it's a piece of piss, then they have no clue because it is.
Well, they've never streamed, TJ. The truth is they've never streamed.
Well, no, it's a mentally taxing thing when you think you've got like your whole life, everything that goes on in your life normal, and then you're gonna put yourself out there in front of X amount of people, whether you stream for 1, 10, 100, 1,000 people. You know, mentally you've got to be on at all times during that, you know, and it's just difficult sometimes. And I just felt, you know, just need to take a little break, recharge the batteries. I'll be back next week. But yeah, so my week has been quite chilled. I mean, I did stream the Nicolas Cage DVD.
You had a lot of fun with that, and you've got some great fucking alerts.
I love Nicolas Cage. Like, I think it's an amazing thing that they brought into DVD. I think it's a refreshing twist that they needed. The game's been around for 7 years now, and it's in some parts it's a bit flat. But I think bringing him in on the Survivor side is a very, very smart move. It opens up a lot of potential for future release DLC. So yeah, and other than that, yeah, just spend time with the family. Been playing some other games that I've neglected over the last few months. Like I was playing Valheim.
What have you been playing, dude? What have you been playing?
Well, I played Valheim. I mean, I got absolutely waylaid on Valheim till like 4:30 in the morning yesterday. Well, today.
Maniac.
With a couple of people from my stream. and I've been playing some Valorant, been getting in on some Valorant, which is cool. We're going to be playing some Payday 2 at some point, and also some.
I'm definitely interested in Payday 2 playing with you.
I've never played it.
I fucking love Payday 2.
I've never played it, but I know 3 is coming out, and people rave about 2. So I was like, 2 is cheap as chips. Like, I think I picked it up with all the DLCs, like every DLC for it, for like £4. It's like ridiculous.
So on Steam, bro.
No, that was on CD Keys.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got it for about £4, and yeah, so and also Ghost Watchers, which is like a
I think I've got Ghostwatcher. I think.
like a phasmophobia type game, which normally I'm not a massive fan of because I find them boring and they kind of like they're long
Isn't
and
it a
drawn
ghost
out.
catching game though?
Yeah,
like, don't you get like a vacuum or something?
Yeah,
like
I
that
think. Well, I'd say I think I'm not 100% sure. I just had people raving about it, saying I'll come in and play. And this is where I am going to use Steam. I'm going to for the benefit of like the Steam's 2-hour refund policy. Like if I really don't like the game, like an hour and a half in, then I will get a refund on it, because I did it with Demonologist because I felt the same thing. People were like, "Oh no, you should definitely get it." And once you've had the 1 or 2 jump scares, it's just repetitive, boring nonsense. So yeah, I'm gonna play that at some point during the week off stream and just see what that's like.
Well, I've been playing a little. I'll be honest with you, kids. I've been playing GTA 5 again because I'm just addicted to playing that game. Every year, without fail, I play through the entire story of GTA 5 because I love that story. It's a story about obviously a gang hood, a maniac, and an ex-bank robber, and them all coming together and dealing with all their problems in a way that I find so cathartic. That because obviously GTA is set up as such a manic sort of you can kill anyone and drive through and get away with it sort of a game, that like I enjoy the back and forth between those images. So I don't mind playing the online as well. Unfortunately, my big online game on GTA 5 or GTA Online is on my PlayStation 5. So I've played through it all on the PC. I just enjoy the storyline and I enjoy the missions. Some of them, obviously, some are better than others, but like I always enjoy like the conversation that goes on between them all. So I've always enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed it since 2012 when it first came out on the PS. Well, I had it on the Xbox 360 originally. So I play through it almost every year just because I enjoy a good crime story, I think. And anyone who hasn't played it and has only played GTA Online, I would urge you to just go through the main story once, because there are quite a few good missions in there where like it's the dynamic between the three as well. So you've got Michael who's teaching Franklin as a protege, and you've got Trevor who is every other. Yeah, the nut job. But if you look at it as the dynamic of the players that play GTA, you've got Trevor is every other player that plays GTA. He's a maniac. They want to go and kill everybody. They don't care. There's no remorse. Whereas you've got people like Franklin who are there strictly for the drive-in and enjoy pissing around, driving around the world. And you've got people who are there for the shooting, which is Michael. So they actually covered, which is why I always loved about it. They actually covered every aspect of every GTA player that ever played the previous games. And then they put it into a story where you can play as all three of them and switch between all three in one mission, which a lot of people didn't like, but I loved about it. I actually found a lot of interest in doing that. Talking about games, so as you probably some of our returning viewers or listeners know, we always try to talk about video game adaptions here, and we're talking about a video game adaptation today, aren't we, dude?
Yeah, one that's very, very different from the last series video game adaptation that we watched.
Well,
Well,
mate, you
it
say
isn't.
that,
It
but it's
isn't. It
got
isn't.
similarities.
It
It's
is.
got similarities.
It's set in a similar backdrop in terms of the state of the world.
Yes. Yes.
Similar, but obviously, and obviously the game that we're talking the previous series that we're talking about is obviously The Last of Us, that was
Yeah.
phenomenal with Pedro Pascal and
It had a budget though.
Bella Ramsey.
Let's be honest. It had a budget and it had a lot of credence behind it.
We don't know how much of a
lot
budget
of credence.
Twisted Metal has, so like I suppose
No, true.
you know, but we'll get into that. But yeah, I mean, both, like we say, both set in a dystopian, like destroyed future where pockets of people of hold themselves up in new areas, if you will, new states, if you will, and then
it's very much a discussion on if the world ended as we know it. By the way, not because like Twisted Metal isn't the plague end. Well, it sort of is the plague end of the world. They state it as a bug came in and corrupted all infrastructure. So, in the same way, in Last of Us, like in Last of Us, they tend to say like, oh, what happened was a plague came and everyone became either a mutant, zombie, etc., etc. They don't so much do that in Twisted Metal. What they say is like, oh, it destroyed all infrastructure, so major cities walled themselves out of that and then kicked all the criminals out. Which would be fucking something to do, wouldn't it? I mean, Jesus, how do you round them all up?
Exactly.
So the main reason that we're doing this is because it's a video game adaptation. But we found in watching the first episode that like it did have a lot of similarities to what we'd previously done. So we thought it'd be quite good to do this now and talk about something. And I'll be honest, you will need a VPN and you'll need a Peacock account to watch this.
If you're in the UK.
Yeah, in the UK. Because obviously it's not freely available. I'm sure it will come to the shores soon. But we just want to get ahead of the curve so that, like, those that listen to it now or listen to it later can watch the series and they can see our opinion on it.
It's a Peacock original. Peacock is obviously it's a US streaming service like HBO Max, which isn't available over here. It is, if you have Sky, it is available as part of your Sky package. I don't think it costs you any extra. However, Twisted Metal, as of filming this, isn't available on Peacock on Sky.
No. We will let you know as soon as it becomes available, and if we're doing the pod still, we will tell you. So 100%.
So obviously we're having to use a VPN to stream it via Peacock over here in the UK. Obviously, if you live in the USA, happy days. But yeah, so
before we get to our show, I do want to talk about a little bit of film and movie news that's gone on this week. So obviously, Oppenheimer and Barbie have come out in last week, and they thankfully, and I say this because we've talked about it previously, they have started to save the cinema as we know it. So a lot of people have been going to the cinema. A lot of people have been going to watch Barbie. A lot of people have been going to watch Oppenheimer. Now, I've seen Oppenheimer. I haven't seen Barbie. Now, TJ, you tell me your family have gone to see Barbie.
My wife and daughter went today. Yeah, very odd. Not what they
selling at me.
No, so they went to see Barbie, not Oppenheimer. They went to see Barbie. Very odd. Not what they were expecting. Very empowering story, as you would expect, about women can do whatever they want. Which is Barbie's motto, pretty much, isn't it? Barbie can be and do anything. But yeah, ultimately, quite surprised as well by some of the mature content. So I also have a niece who is seven, sorry. And like my wife and daughter come back and said, yeah, it's probably not suitable for her. which shocked me because there is content like sexual content in there in terms of some of
Really? I'll be honest. I'm shocked by that.
in terms of like there's a song they sing about Ken not having a penis and Barbie not having a vagina.
Kind of want to hear that.
There's just some other suggestive content in there, which maybe not that it's not suitable, but just would completely go over the head. Like this,
Yes.
the way my wife said it was that my niece would sit there and not have a clue what the hell was going on because it's not like for her, like all age group. It's more for
Would
like.
you arguably say that maybe it should have had a higher age range?
I don't necessarily think it's that
12
because
15 or something?
no, because then you're completely like I think you kneecap Barbie then 100% like because there's not going to be many like even my daughter had reservations about going to see it. My daughter's just turned 11. My daughter's getting to that point where she's hitting just past the like dolls and stuff, isn't she? You know, like she's coming out of that and now moving on to other things. So I think it had to be, and also, like, let's be honest, we live in an age now where you can go and watch, like, The Lord of the Rings, where they're getting orcs having their heads chopped off and everything, and that's a PG, you know. So
it's a bit of a.
I think,
I mean,
I think our
things
days,
were different in our years.
I was about to say, our days
were
of
different.
like an 18 in our days would be a 15 now. It's a lot tamer. You know, when you think about the films that they banned from the 70s and 80s, you're like, you look at it now and you're like, they banned this? Really? When we've got Saw 10 coming out and someone's literally like gonna, his body's gonna be mutilated all over the shop and we're gonna be sitting there with a popcorn going, this is fucking great. Like, you know, and back in the day they go, oh, there's a little bit too much blood. We need to, you know, The Exorcist, oh, head done a 360 spin. We need to stop people watching this. Like, it's terrible. So
I mean, The Exorcist got banned.
The Exorcist. I mean, The Exorcist was 70s, wasn't it? So I believe was it 70s? I'm sure it was.
It was. I think it was 79. I want to say.
But yeah,
I don't want to commit to it, but like I think I want to say.
I think it's late 70s. But yeah, so like I think we've moved on in terms of how much is acceptable and for a younger audience these days.
Crazy though. Yeah. Crazy a little bit though, because I mean, obviously, you know, when you were young, like when I was young, American Werewolf in London was almost a banned film because I mean, to be fair, that transition fucking altered me when I watched it when I was 9. It altered me. I won't lie. I saw that guy turn into a werewolf, and I was like, oh, I don't know whether I'm good with that. I mean, maybe I watch horror films now because I feel like I was so exposed to something at such a young age that that became that.
I remember my first experience with a horror film. So I was off school, ill. My sister is 8 years older than me, so my sister pretty much was my babysitter because
everyone needs some scratch.
And yeah, exactly. And so yeah, I was off school ill. So my sister turns around, or my mum turns around and says, "Oh yeah, it's not going to school." And I must have been like 7 or no, I must have been about 8 or. Yeah, but yeah, I'm just trying to think why my sister would have been off school. So, and my sister had a bedroom downstairs, and it was like, all right, okay, she's got a TV and video. I didn't have one in my room at the time. Yeah. So you go in there, she can sort out the house and everything. She can take care of you. And my sister's VHS collection, she had
old VHS, man.
Nightmare on Elm Street, and I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, and I shat my pants.
Johnny Depp's death.
Yeah,
Johnny Depp's death.
Mate, I'm sitting there. Well, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, wicked. We're going to get some naked, sexy time going on right at the start. I'm like, this is fucking great. And then they're falling asleep. And all of a sudden, she's like doing somersaults on the ceiling, doing flips. And I'm like, what the fucking hell am I watching? And then, like,
what's going on here?
He's underneath her and blood just showers all over him. And I'm like, oh my God. And then it's like, yeah, don't fall asleep because this guy's getting hung in his police cell while he's asleep. I'm like, oh my fucking God. I'm never going to sleep again. Oh no.
Like, give me the coffee. Can't have coffee. I'm having coffee.
Like, you know, and I vividly remember like that first time I ever saw that, and that's my first like recollection of like horror and I was like, holy crap! But now I think about it, and I'm like, Yeah, we've got films where like people are like I watched Jurassic Park Dominion again the other day, and I remember
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went to cinema with my daughter to watch it, and you've got like people getting mauled by fucking dinosaurs, and it's like, okay, the geezer's lost an arm there. That's all right, it's fine,
Have we become numb as a society, Teach? Have we become numb?
I think so, but to a point, but I also don't think it's that. I don't, mate. I don't think it's a terrible thing. I think we
No.
you can be overly like too far one way, and
Yeah.
I don't think we've gone too far there. I mean, come on, let's be honest. We wouldn't have some of the games we've got nowadays.
No,
You're saying about Grand Theft
100%
Auto
no.
at the start of this. You wouldn't have Grand Theft Auto if we were still living in an
No
era
chance.
of like
They tried to ban that in a couple of countries.
well,
so.
exactly. Like, and that was like top down, like bird's eye view GTA that they were trying to ban.
Yeah.
Imagine now when you're like rolling up as Trevor next to a prostitute, you get her out, you take her around the alley, and then you shoot her in the head afterwards, take your money back. It's totally all right in GTA. Not saying that's what I used to do.
It's all fair in love and war, as they say.
But no. So it's like I think there's. It probably can't go too much further, otherwise, we'll be seeing Michael Myers in a PG running around slashing up people. But
Well, that's a concern, isn't it? I mean, like, because for me anyway, like the closer we get to things just being like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm like, well, it's got to matter a little bit.
The thing
because
is,
you shouldn't be exposing certain children to certain things.
Well,
I mean, I wouldn't, if I had a daughter or a son or a child, I wouldn't want them exposed to, let's just say, Saw 2, because I mean, some of that is horrific.
yeah,
It's all fake, we know, but I know as an adult. They don't know as a child.
Well, I wonder if we will at any point. Probably not, but I'm just wondering if we will ever get to a point where it's like is it the BBO? What is it? The British Broadcast or whatever it is. Like the people who do the ratings
something.
and yeah.
I know you're on about
Whether or not they'll just turn around and say no, it's there's like it's a guideline as opposed to a hard and fast rule.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's I mean it is kind of a guideline
BBCA,
anyway,
I think.
But you know what I mean, where it's just like okay, and they maybe dispel the age and just give it like a M for mature, like what America do. It's like M, like whatever, and then it's just like, well, it's up to you if you want to let your kid watch it, mate.
Well, I mean, that was what PG was always shown as, wasn't it? PG-12 and PG was always meant to be parental guidance and parental guidance 12, like that. Yeah, 12 and over.
Oh yeah,
and that was
they can watch it under 12 as long as they've got someone with them, isn't it? It's the thing now.
I mean, we're an 18 podcast. Let's face it. Even though all we do is swear, it's not
mate,
like
we should be a 21 podcast. We should be.
Yeah, I know, right? Right. So, that said, just talking about Barbie again, just bringing it back to Barbie. Did you hear? And I know you did because we spoke previously, but about the Mattel universe. Now,
the Mattelverse.
The Mattelverse. Well done.
I just made that up. I don't know if that's the real thing, but I'm coining that. Give me the
Hashtag
money.
Mattelverse.
Mattelverse.
That is TJ's thing. So give him money.
I accept all forms of currency.
Right. So let me just quickly bring up what the Mattelverse is.
No, Mattelverse sounds better.
It does.
Wow.
It actually may. I'll be honest. I give you that.
Well, I've just read that. Hang on. I've got conflicting reports here. I've got one saying 45 new movies, and another one.
I've had 11.
I've got 17 here, and you've got 11. Jesus Christ. I'm going to go with the Independent.
So I know for a fact. One of them has got Tom Hanks attached to it, and it's Major Matt Mason. Now, a lot of people probably wouldn't know Major Matt Mason because he wasn't around until the 60s, which is before me and TJ, by the way. But Major Matt Mason was actually a astronaut, and he was a sort of a Stretch Armstrong sort of a fella. So, you could stretch his arms and stuff. But here's my point. Before I drag too much into it. No one knows who Major Matt Mason is. And they wouldn't, because a lot of the people who watch films today wouldn't have been alive in the 60s. So why bring that back? I mean, if you attach Tom Hanks to it, I get you're going to get bums in seats, shall we say. But I mean, the space race in the 60s was a lot more prominent than the space race in 2000, right? Not wrong in thinking that, surely, Tej.
No. Sorry, I was reading something else. Sorry, apologies. What I did just read there was that it is 17 have actually been announced.
Well, I've seen 14 films have been announced so far
I've
from
got-
New Yorker and other outlets.
Well, I've got the Independent, and this article was 11 hours ago, and there are 45 movies, potential movies in development by Mattel, led by film producer Robbie Brenner. 17 have been announced as of today. Can we go through the list?
Christ. Yeah.
Okay.
Do a list.
You've got now some of these I actually understand. Polly Pocket, kind of understand Polly Pocket because
I can't see it being a great film, but
it's not for us.
I would have argued that I wouldn't have thought Barbie would have been a great film.
No, not for us.
It's fucking killing things. So
Now this is where we get a little bit weird though. Uno.
How do you make Uno?
Right, I'll give you the synopsis.
Into a film.
Okay. An action heist comedy based on the Uno game is in development. The script is written by Marcy Kelly. She said she was asked to pitch a script for Uno and ended up writing a heist movie set in Atlanta's hip-hop scene. The first draft was heavy on expletives, and the next draft only had one F word. So Mattel, a child-friendly thing, have gone, right, make this. Yeah. And they've gone, right, fuck shit, fuck, like, all over the place. And they've gone, no, I don't think you understand here. We make stuff for children. No, like, oh,
yes. Cool. No, please listen to me. Now, I tell you something that I did read is, now, do you remember Barney? Now, you've got a young daughter.
I've just seen that, Barney, the purple dinosaur.
Barney's going to be something thriller / horror.
I'm down for that. I'm down. Like with FNAF coming out this year, I'm down. Especially with the guy that they've got in it as well.
I just can't imagine Barney going, I love you, you love me, I'm gonna cut your spleen in two. I can't see it, Tej. I can't see it.
I'm all over it, dude. I'm literally all over it. I cannot wait. We're talking about horror stuff. Like I watched Willy's Wonderland the other day. That's quality. Like with Nicolas Cage, it's just absolutely stupid, but brilliant. I can't wait. What I want to know is if you know anything about dinosaurs and kind of Barney is sort of anatomically correct. It's got a fucking little arms.
Yeah, it's got little arms.
I'm
gonna bite you into two. Got Hot Wheels done by J.J. Abrams as the producer.
J.J. Abrams, yeah. And Bad Robot, the company Bad Robot, yeah.
Yeah, Bad Robot. So that might be something interesting, but isn't it just going to end up being a Fast and the Furious thing?
Probably.
Surely.
Or like Need for Speed. What the Need for Speed. The Need for Speed movie was, I think. How about Magic 8 Ball?
Now, Magic 8 Ball, right, according to Variety, just to give you something, Magic 8 Ball will probably be a PG-13 thriller.
Yeah, but you know who they've partnered with?
No.
Blumhouse.
No, don't say Blumhouse.
Blumhouse.
You were going to say Blumhouse.
Oh, no. But wait. Blumhouse pulled out.
There's more.
Blumhouse pulled out of the project.
Did they?
Yeah. So
which means it couldn't have been.
In 2019, Mattel was partnered with Blumhouse to create the horror movie for Magic 8 Ball. Blumhouse was no longer attached to the project. It will be a horror comedy written by Cocaine Bear screenwriter.
You are joking me.
Mate, Magic 8 Ball is going to be like a fucking weird Aladdin. Like
it's got to be. Like, what's going to happen next? You're going to die.
And then something's going to come out of the 8 ball and kill you.
I don't think they'll come out of the 8 ball. It'd be like one of those, almost Final Destination-y.
Oh, yeah, actually, that's a good shout.
You know, it's like he's going to predict it. Everyone's going to go, nah, that's not going to happen.
And like we say,
and then,
PG-13. We can still see some gruesome stuff with a PG-13. So
that's it, dude. That's almost the worry. Now, Masters of the Universe,
oh, awesome.
I can see.
Awesome.
I mean, they've already done it once. So,
I mean,
like, I can't.
you must have seen Dolph, right? You've seen Dolph. You've seen
Yeah,
Dolph
I've seen
as
Dolph.
like, you know, in possibly.
No one could wear that hair better, mate. No one could wear that hair better.
I mean, like the acting chops on Dolph back then. Woo! I mean, like, yeah. He was He-Man to a T. It's like, it's almost like they were like, yeah, we've got He-Man. Who's going to be He-Man? Well, it's fucking obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Obviously. It's like, we probably can't get him. He's too expensive. All right,
Especially
who else has got
80s,
muscles?
Who
else has
Arnie's on
muscles?
fire.
Exactly. It's like, oh crap. It's like, plus it's going to be like a PG, and like Arnie's not doing his jingle all the way kind of stuff yet. He's at the moment still doing some hard hitting shit. Yeah, we need to get someone else in. Oh, Sylvester Stallone. Nah, he's doing Cobra at the moment. That's crap. Who's got muscles? Like, you know, Lou Ferrigno, too fucking short, mate. Can't have him.
Can't do it. Can't do it. Won't do it. I won't do it.
There's
Sorry about can't. I won't.
There's a Swedish geezer that's got a lovely mop of hair. Fucking pull him in.
Blonde already. Don't need to do anything.
Let's fucking go. Oh, I'd love to know.
Thomas and Friends.
Well, I'll just say, I'd love to know. Actually, we need to pull up. Did he do? Was Masters of the Universe before or after Rocky? It's got to be after. It's got to be before Rocky, surely, right? It's got to be.
I don't know.
I'll check that out while you talk about Thomas. So Rocky.
Right. So Thomas and Friends. Now, obviously, you can't always go against Thomas because that's how he is. He's a Thomas the Tank Engine, and he's got loads of friends like the Fat Controller. So,
Jesus Christ.
Thomas. I don't get to pull out the Ringo very often, so I'm going to enjoy the Ringo.
Oh, I have a little bit of scouse there.
There's nothing wrong with talking scouse, TJ. What's the matter with you?
I didn't say there was anything wrong.
They don't have much to say about Thomas. Thomas and Friends has 24 seasons and has aired from... Fuck me, I didn't know Thomas and Friends had aired since 1984. Our birth year, 1984, to 2021 Thomas and Friends was going.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. A good long life, but Mattel will resurrect Thomas and Friends in a fantasy movie from director Mark Foster.
And it's a mix of live action and animation.
Well,
which is
Robert Coltrane's gone, and he would have been the perfect Fat Controller. So,
well,
who are they going to get?
I will just say, Rocky was 85, Masters was 87. So they sat there and they watched Dolph Lundgren go, if he dies, he dies. And
He
like,
dies.
He's our He-Man.
Exactly. What are you on about? But here's one that confused me. Viewmaster. How are you going to turn Viewmaster into a film?
What's Viewmaster? I don't even know what that is.
So, remember that thing you used to put on your head? And
oh, the click, and you'd have the...
Yeah, you'd change the images.
Mate, you watch that and it transports you into another world.
Right, who doesn't remember the classic red Viewmaster? This Mattel toy would be an adventure movie. Adventure movie, even. Fucking I'll try again. I mean, I could see it go towards horror. I could see that, you click and you know, when you're looking through, you see, excuse me, people, parents be killed or some nonsense, and you're like, oh no, I don't want to see that again.
You see, but like, potential things happening in the future.
Yeah, I could see that,
like a premonition.
I could see that happen. But like, I can't, TJ.
No,
I can't.
I'll tell you. Moving on to another one, then. I don't get this because to me it's already been released. So Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Surely that's Real Steel.
Yes.
The film's already been made.
Diesel is attached to Rock'em Sock'em because he wanted to do it.
But it's the film's already done, and I didn't mind Real Steel.
No, I thought Real Steel was all right. It wasn't the best movie ever, but
it's one of those
films.
Watchable, hour and a half, hour and
serviceable.
45 minutes. You just suspend relief. Cool. It's a fun, storyline pumps along quite nicely. But the film's already been made, surely. I don't. But
100%, mate.
Oh my
100%.
God! So the storyline will follow a father and son who bond with an advanced war
Exactly.
machine.
I mean, what are we doing? It's Real Steel again.
Yeah.
It's Real Steel again. right? And the real still didn't fucking make Megabook, so why even
No.
bother? All right, Matchbox, sorry, which is basically Hot Wheels, again, right?
Yeah.
So why bother? I mean, Hot Wheels at least has the cool tracks and stuff.
Because just like Alien versus Predator, a couple of years down the line, we'll get Matchbox versus Hot Wheels. The race to find the
Mate.
best. I fucking.
But
hope
how do you make that into a live action film? Because it's just cars, right? So if you're not doing Fast and the Furious,
Yeah.
or you're not doing Need for Speed, and let's say that you have to merge the two, it's heist versus racing.
Unless
really.
they're going to do their own version of Cars, but live action, like the Disney
No,
film Cars.
We've got something that me and you are going to have to cover this year. Gran Turismo.
Do you know what? Gran Turismo looks actually kind of interesting, actually, because it's based on a true story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's based on a true story. It's based on a guy who was good at Gran Turismo, and then he got
Drafted
won a
in
competition
to test, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, to see if he could do it. And you got Orlando Bloom, who's desperate for any work he can get at the moment because he's out of the picture.
So jobbing actor, mate.
Don't come at me, Orlando. I'm your friend. I'm just, I got to make jokes, mate. It's the podcast thing. Don't come at me. We can be mates, dude. Just email me.
Well, they might have to push that back. That might not come out, depending on how the writer's strike goes. They might,
Mate, have you seen?
push that stuff
because
back.
the writer's strikes, like fucking, so many films have been pushed back at least a year now.
Well, you see did you see the Oppenheimer premiere? So they all turned up for the premiere, and instead they would normally turn up for a premiere, spend whatever hour outside. If Tom Cruise 7.5 weeks outside, but where you would normally, and like, you've got to give him credit for that. I've always liked that about Tom Cruise. He knows how to sell himself, whether or not he's doing it just for the publicity. He knows how to play the game, and ultimately, the people that go there get what they've gone there for.
Yes.
And so the Oppenheimer premiere, they're all there, star-studded, red carpet. They're all supposed to filter inside, and they're all like, "No, we're off to go on the picket lines." I mean, you got to give them credit for it. I think it's definitely you, obviously yourself being in voice and extra work in like movies, TV stuff. And
I've been very affected, by the way.
It's very near and dear to you, more so than myself. But I can completely get behind and understand what the rhyme and reason for the strikes, but like, it was fascinating to see, because I think if you have actors and that refusing to do premieres and stuff like that, premieres are a big part of a movie's release.
Yeah.
Like I can well see stuff getting cancelled or pushed back. Like, well, we were going to release it at the end of August, we're now releasing the end of October or something. Just literally because, like, the actors are like, no, we're not promoting this film. Just contractually, there might be a grey area there, but I don't know.
Just to give those that don't know, so the reason I'm bothered about the SAG AFTRA is not because I make millions of pounds off fucking things, and don't get me wrong, Tom Cruise, Vin Diesel, all the actors that we've mentioned previous, they're not overly affected, right? So, and I'm not saying that they're not affected, I'm saying that they're not overly affected. The reason these strikes are occurring, because a lot of people get up in their own head going, well we're talking about billionaires getting more money. That's not what this is about. What they're about is the smaller actor and the background actor like me. I'm a background actor. So what they're about is, one, for the background actors, what they want us to do is to show up for one day, and they can take my image and they will put me in the film, and they can make me do whatever I want, right? And then they can put me in whatever they want after that and pay me for one day, right? So I'm on board. I'm part of Equity. So Equity is the UK Screen Actors Guild, basically. And the problem is that a lot of actors that aren't Tom Cruise, that aren't Scarlett Johansson's, your Chris Evans, the people that gave millions, the top actors, like, they rely on their residuals. And now, being that streaming has become so prevalent, streaming don't give their numbers. Streaming don't say that like X amount of hours have been watched of your movie, so they don't pay residuals. And residuals is what a lot of smaller actors rely on. So it's not like I'm not going to go into a big rant. Obviously, I have a job, but a lot of these other actors who you see in films and they do work and they talk, and yes, they get paid, but they rely on the residuals in order to continue their life. Now, I don't know if any of you know, but like to live in Los Angeles, where a lot of the work is, there's 80% of the background actors are in the UK. I'm one of those 80% that work in the UK. And I will show up in films every now and then. I have to wear silly costumes and etc. etc. But like I'm talking about the actors that actually work, the actors that actually do voice lines and they show up and they do scene after scene after scene. Yes, they get paid. But after that, if you don't get a job for another 6 months, you have to get another job. So therefore, a lot of actors that you see on screen and TV will tell you that, like, although they're an actor, they still have to go and work a bar job, an office job, a something else job, because residuals don't get paid anymore. It's not like the old times. DVD sales don't get sold. So it's just streaming. Streaming don't give their numbers. So therefore, streaming take your money and don't pay the performers that had to do it over and over and over again. So to give an example, Orange is the New Black. A lot of those girls showed their tits because let's face it, we're men. So they show their tits, but they never get residuals for showing their tits over and 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 over again. Right? If you're a page 3 model and you show your tits, every paper that gets sold, you get sent residuals. That's what it is. Right? And that's what keeps them afloat. And don't get me wrong, residuals aren't high. Residuals are not high. I mean, it's like, every 1400th fucking person that watches it, you get fucking a penny on the pound. So I am very much in support of the SAG AFTRA sort of strikes because it's for us, the smaller actor, the one that wants to make it into the big stream. But we're not paid what Tom Cruise is paid. We're not paid what Chris Evans is paid, what Chris fucking Hemsworth is paid. We're only paid a small fraction, so therefore we rely on the residuals. I don't rely on. I'm a background actor, but like they want to take my job as a background actor and turn me into an AI constructed person where they can make me do whatever I want, whatever they want. Sorry, so. I am very much in support of it. I'm not saying that you should do anything, but I just want people to actually understand what this strike is about. It's not about the millionaires that get paid loads. It's about the low-paid actor who has to still work a second, third job in order to pay his rent over in LA. Because LA housing is crazy. I'm lucky enough that I work another job which pays for everything. And to be honest, background acting is a hobby to me. But I don't want those actors to go away. And I don't want my small acting career to go away because I enjoy doing it. It's a hobby I enjoy. It's a hobby where I get to do the thing that I never qualified to do. I didn't mean to rant a little bit then.
That's all right. That's all right.
Quite close to my heart,
Yeah, no, it's totally understandable.
A lot of people seem to think that like all the millionaires want more money, and I'm so it's just not about that. It's only about serving the smaller person. I'm not part of SAG, by the way. Like I said, I'm part of Equity. So my union, we're not actually striking. Equity is not striking, but we are in solidarity with SAG because we do 80% of their background work. honestly, kids, if you ever see an American film and you go, "Oh, it must be America," it was filmed in England. I guarantee it. It's cheaper to film in England. That's why. That's why.
Mm.
Anyway, mate, we should probably get onto our cause, shouldn't we?
Yeah. And we'll do that.
We've been speaking for how long have we been speaking for, dude?
About 45.
Fuck. We are ranters, aren't we? Don't we we just rant. Jesus. Anyway, right. Okay. Moving swiftly on, kids. Moving swiftly on. So, Twisted Metal is the subject matter of today. Me and TJ have watched the first 2 episodes, and I know that a lot of people will be apprehensive about this series because ultimately, does it follow the game? No, because it can't. It'd be insane to follow the game. That would make no sense. The game is about essentially 8 to 10 or 15 or whatever the number grow up to in Twisted Metal Black. Cars fighting each other. There is no story. Essentially, the story is about Calypso, which was a tank that fought everybody at the end because he didn't want to give away the £10 million prize, which almost seems tertiary now because everyone's in billions. Right, so the stars of this show are Anthony Mackie, Tajor Vers, Stephanie Beatriz. Is that how you say
I believe so. Yeah, Beatriz.
Not to mention other people such as.
Well, you've got Thomas. Was it Thomas Hayden Church?
Thomas Hayden Church from Spider-Man 3.
Joe Sanoa also, and Will Arnett.
Yeah, Will Arnett, Nev Campbell. Like Joe Sanoa, which is Sweet Tooth, who plays Samoa Joe. It was directed by, or at least a few of the series is directed by, was Bill Benez, Kaneto Sakura, sorry if I'm spelling that wrong, and Jude Weng. Now, I wouldn't be first person to expect this series not to do well, correct?
When we spoke about this originally, it was like
it's months ago, by the way. This wasn't a new thing.
This is the great unknown. I don't think nowadays, like, you can turn around and flat out, like, we have turned around and just slated the Mattelverse, coining that. Yeah, pay me my money. Like, saying,
I love it, by the way.
Saying that
I love Mattelverse.
saying that, like, how can you do this? Uno might turn out to be a great film.
Yes,
but and it's so loosely based on the cards, like, it can't. You know, I mean, unless if they're fighting a ghost and someone throws up a fucking Uno reverse card or something, then I'm gonna think, okay, this is ridiculous. You can't kill me. I'll reverse it back and kill you instead. Aha! Like that.
I might applaud it. I might sit there and go,
no. I'm gonna be like, no, fucking, like, no. But like, we can sit here and have our preconceived notions that, okay, I don't get it, I don't understand, I don't know how it's going to work, and it may not be to my liking, but we can't say it's going to be shit, because ultimately we've been proved wrong too many times over countless movies, TV series, adaptations of books, whatever. So Twisted Metal, I always come to this as, like, with great intrigue, because I think from a point of view of fast cars, lots of guns, explosions, like, this is like a Michael Bay fanboy's wet dream.
It's a Hollywood wet dream.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I get where this is going to have its place. I think what made me more happy, and watching it has definitely backed that up, is the fact it's 30-minute episodes. So there's none of that. Well, technically it's less than 30 minutes because we watched on Peacock a couple of adverts. It's probably about 24 minutes an episode. Yeah. Which is
TV show.
It's perfect. It's like, there's no, like, they don't really need to put much filler in there. It can get to the point of what each episode needs to tell to move the story along. And like, yeah, and I think that it's the intrigue is what drew me to this. Like I say, because you're just like, how is it going to work? I need to see it to figure out how it's going to work.
Yeah. Now, just to explain, kids, me and TJ and our lovely producer Laura have watched the first 2 episodes. So we only have the first 2 episodes to go by. Me and TJ, we probably will watch all of the series and then we'll rewatch the series before we do the podcast again. I'm not going to lie to you, kids. I don't like to lie.
Except we were going to do it in 2 episodes, didn't we? So
yeah.
This episode we cover 1 and 2. The next one be 3 and 4. 5 and 6, so on and so on. Just because if we try and cover 10 episodes in one podcast, it's a lot, and we will be talking a lot more about episode 10 than 1, which kind of doesn't do 1 justice. If it, it's not fair to the early episodes because the late episodes will obviously take precedent. So we came, even though all 10 episodes are available on Peacock, it was like, this is probably the fairest way to do it. And then, people can.
We actually think about things over here on the podcast. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
But I will say the first episode opened strong for me.
Yep.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is very Hollywood. It's very, Subaru is driving through a mall. Subaru is hitting things like Electronic Boutique. God rest its soul. So a lot of those things hit hard for me because I was like, this is kind of what I want from a Twisted Metal thing. I want to feel that, like, there's a car and he's got guns attached to it. The problem with the world is that everyone can try to overthink something, and sometimes you want it to be simple. You want it to just be, all right, this guy's got guns in his car. He's taking a package from A to B. And he's got to protect himself as he goes through it. Of course, he's going to modify his car. Now, has he got unlimited ammo? We never questioned this in the 80s. In the 80s, if Arnie's bullet had 700 bullets, we would never question it. We'd just simply go, of course Arnie's gun's got 700 bullets. Of course he has. He's the hero of the story. Which, I'll be honest, in the 2000s, 2020s especially, we've lost that. Everything's got to be real. Everything's got to be, but I don't realistically believe that would happen. And I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't always matter. Like, the problem with finding real is the problem that you will find fault. And I can find fault with anything. I will find fault with Last of Us, which is one of the best TV series within the last decade. It's just, sometimes I like to just be entertained. And this, I will say, entertained me. It gave me everything I needed from I'm going to sit here eating popcorn, watching TV show. I don't always need to know exactly why everything existed. I mean, to quote Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott.
It's the JD talking, kids. It's the JD
Ridley
talking.
Squat. That's great.
He's never going to let that go, kids. I'm going to hear that in his streams for fucking weeks now.
So obviously, just quickly, we have a saying in the UK for anyone who's not, like, diddly squat, which means, like, nothing, essentially. So now he's just, that's brilliant. Ridley Squat. That's fucking great. I love it.
I'm not going to hear the end of that for weeks.
No,
for weeks I won't hear the end of that now. But yeah, so Ridley Scott, he turned round, and I will argue this with all the film buffs forever. And he turned around and said, I made Prometheus simply because no one ever asked, and there's a reason, no one ever asked where the aliens come from, because it didn't matter. It didn't matter where the fucking aliens came
We had this exact argument. Well, no, we didn't have an argument, but we had this exact opposition to when we watched The Last of Us. So those of you who played the game, the story obviously is about this virus. Now,
I remember this. Who the fuck is Jane?
Ellie, we don't know why Ellie is immune. And
Yeah.
they decided in the series, in the last episode, for the first like 7 to 10 minutes, we'll explain how she's immune. I don't care. It was never relevant in the game, and it didn't need to be relevant. It's one of those things that you're just like, okay, cool. It is what it is, and I can accept that. Like, you know, I don't need to be sugar coated. Like, I don't need to be fed a sugar coated fucking cereal to, like, you know, like they do sometimes in Hollywood. It's like I'm old enough and ugly enough to just go, okay.
Yeah.
You know?
I can accept this. Okay, it is what it is. That's fine. The world ended, whatever.
Exactly.
So that's ultimately my always defense. I just think, like, but Ridley, I didn't care where the aliens came from. I only cared that they were the most dominant and terrifying objects within our known universe, that if they existed, then fuck, I'm terrified of them. And that was what you originally tried to do in your original story. And then James Cameron solidified it by making Aliens. And then someone ruined it with Aliens 3, and then they ruined it more with Aliens Resurrection, and then they ruined it more. I'm not going to go into it.
We're going off on a bit of a tangent here, Jay. We need to pull this back to Twisted Metal. But yeah, I get what you're saying. At the end of the day, like, yeah, we don't need to be explained, like, you know, that they've got infinite ammo, or if they have or they haven't. He's like, yeah, like you say, he's driving through the mall, he's being chased. Like, there's some fun comedic moments in there to draw it in, like that give you a bit of levity to the situation, and there's a few moments of severity in there. You know, you get to see a couple of nice little maneuvers with the vehicle, and a couple of interesting deaths. But largely, it sets its stall out. I found in that first like 3 minutes, it sets its stall out, which is exactly what it's going to be: a high octane, fun action comedy.
Exactly.
And like it, and it also, it didn't take itself too seriously. No. It's not like at any point did you feel like, oh my god, this is heavy. Like, there was always moments of levity through it that lifted you to, like, sometimes a little bit too over the top stupid. There's a parking scene which is a little bit like, okay, you're stringing that out a little bit.
I get it. You're dragging it out a little bit.
but yeah, and obviously, like we say, we kind of skated over the top, but the premise is obviously, we're in a post-apocalyptic future via like a bug that was obviously a computer virus or something that's pretty much shut down everything. The world's economies and everything collapsed. You now have the states have kind of like locked themselves off into places. So like there's new San Francisco, new Chicago, new New York, and they've put up high walls, security, like the high brow of society get to live in these new states, and the low class, the reprobates, the prisoners,
outlaws, wherever,
are left to fend for themselves in a feral. And within this, there are what was known as milkmen, which are delivery guys, which John Doe, Anthony Mackie, is one. And
he nails it. I will say, he nails it.
Yeah,
like he plays this half comedic, half, serious protagonist.
Yeah.
And I don't need much more than that in my semi-comedy situation.
He is he knows nothing about himself. He calls himself John Doe. He knows nothing about himself. He knows nothing about his history. He makes a statement. I believe it's actually episode 2. He makes a statement, but he woke up in his car with his head bleeding, and he's like, I don't know, like, so this is all I know. So he doesn't know why, why necessarily he's not in one of the nice palatial places, why he's on the streets, but he's damn good at what he does, and that's evident throughout as well.
Yes, 100%. I mean, he signifies this image of like a man who, he's grown up in this situation, so therefore his situation has always been what his situation is, and he's become good at it. Now, don't be wrong. I will say that he's never trolled much further than the West Coast.
Yep.
So when the proposition comes to him from Nev Campbell, who, man, she's scary. To be fair to her,
She played, yeah, it like her the juxtaposition and the change in her character from being like this amazing, like wonderful leader. So she runs New San Francisco, and she brings John in. John's now, but one thing that's key is John has never been inside the walls of any of these new states. He's always been an outsider, never allowed.
Always been an outlaw.
And
He's always been an outlaw.
He gets pulled in, and he meets like her as the leader of New San Francisco, and he gets shown some of the amazing things that are going on in there. Like, it's pretty much like nothing had ever happened. Like,
yeah.
And he's given a proposition where if he can deliver something across the country to New Chicago,
New Chicago,
which is
east side, by the way,
and just by his reaction, is not a very nice place.
Nope.
If he can deliver in 10 days something, if he can pick something up and deliver it in 10 days, he would be made a citizen. Now, for someone who's lived their whole life outside to then be told you can come inside and be looked after and cared and be a valuable member of society, you know, have a nice house, you know, potentially a family because he meets a baby for the first time. Like,
for those that are video gamers, like, think Fallout.
Yes.
You know, where like they've got a society outside of the walls and the society inside of the walls. You know, where like a meal isn't fought for, a meal is found. A meal is, you know, like water is pure and not irradiated. It's very much within that line. You know, they're going to make a Fallout film soon, and you're going to see very, very similar things go on. Because when you're outside of a wall and when you're inside of a wall, your life is very, very different. It's almost like being rich and poor, to explain it in a very base term, correct?
Yeah.
You know, so as TJ has said, Anthony Mackie is given a choice of a life and an outlaw life. And under that level of thing, you're always going to choose the life that's better, life that's more. So, you know, as the viewer, is one of those things you go, oh, okay, I get it. I get why he's going to go for 10 measly days of driving across country, dropping a package off and driving it back and getting myself a life is understandable. Now, I will say, and TJ will come here with now, when you see Nev Campbell change from being a loving, what would you say, mate? Like fucking housewife?
Well, a loving mother, a caring wife, an upstanding. I don't want to call her a ruler.
She's a ruler, though.
Well, yeah, okay. You know, like she ticked all the boxes. Like,
yes,
you know.
And then you see a switch between
literally instant.
As soon as he's gone, she is a different person.
The true colours shine.
Like, take the baby back to another person. You'll get paid. Just go away from it.
It reminded me once again, going back to The Last of Us, of when Joel and Ellie first meet Sam and
yeah.
Oh, I can't remember their names. Sam and the boy and his brother.
Yeah, the boy and his son, I think.
No, it's his brother. I'm sure. Well,
it
matter.
It is brother. No, you're right.
But a slight change from the game. The leader of that city that they were in at the time was played by the lady that was in 2.5 Men, played Rose
Yeah,
in 2.5 Men.
Oh,
Like she
yeah,
was.
I know you're right.
She was something like Liz something or other, isn't it? Like, is it? Oh,
Mate, she was terrifying as well.
yeah.
She switched on a dime.
It's exactly the same though. Like she was nice, she was kind, you know, she come across well spoken and everything. And then all of a sudden it was just like at that moment she needed to be stone cold. She was
Yeah.
I
I will
that
kill
on
all
another
of you
level.
to find out this one piece of
Melanie
information.
Linsky. Her name is
Yeah.
Melanie Linsky.
She's such a phenomenal
Yeah,
actress as well.
and that was exactly like Neve Campbell. That switch on a dime, which was like it instantly. So you're watching it and you've got good feels. You're like, okay, this is cool. Like, oh wow. And but you just knowing what we know from everything we've watched and seen in the past.
Yeah.
There is. It's always so. We've obviously, as the viewer, you're always going to have that thin veil of suspicion because we've just seen this too many times. But for like obviously John Doe, Anthony Mackie's character, this is like, oh wow, this is wonderful. The wonderment I'm seeing in my eyes and the things I'm being told and the possibilities, the riches that are being put in front of me that I've never had. You know, when she turns around and says to him, she makes a comment to him and says, "You can ask for anything." He turns around and says he wants 2-ply toilet paper.
Yeah.
Like that's the level. That to him is everything. And when she turns around, it's so funny. Sometimes she goes, "Think bigger," and he goes, 3-ply, like as in like that is the pinnacle for him. And she's like, "No, I'm offering
it's
you."
a comedic moment,
but it just goes to show, doesn't it, the level?
Yeah.
And
yes,
then,
exactly.
and like I say, we're watching it, and you're like, this seems too good to be true. And it is, because like you say, that switch straight away like that. She's like, "Baby, get off me, you fake husband, fuck off. Like, get him away from me, it's disgusting. Let me wipe my hands." And like, and it makes you wonder like what they're bringing back, because she said to him he's not allowed to look in the package.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if we're thinking bomb, like person.
Yeah.
Like, you know, any number of things. You know, it certainly ain't going to be a Wendy's drive-through delivery order, is it?
No.
It's going to be something of epic proportion. And pretty much that's like, you know, that set the scene for where the series is going to go.
Exactly. And I'll be honest, you know, I know a lot of people were expecting whatever they were expecting from this series, but I wasn't expecting that. So therefore, I'm more invested.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, we'll go on to the second episode in a second, because obviously he meets. He almost gets accosted by.
Well, we have to
Stephanie.
before we are missing one key thing in like there is. So within. So like I say, as we've explained it, you have the new areas, the new states that are run. Then you have the outlaws on the outside. There is another force at play, faction. There you go, at play in this as well, which is the people who want to bring back law and order.
Yeah.
By any means necessary. And
the
leader of that,
very Fallout.
Yes,
Fallout.
The leader of that, his name, I believe, is Stone, judging by the police badge he's got on, played by Thomas Hayden Church. For those of you who know him from Spider-Man 3 as Sandman. And he's leading a bunch of...
I don't know, vigilantes, I guess?
Yeah, that he's managed to gaggle together to build this police force and he sets it out really nicely, because he says like the way to bring back order is to treat every crime the same, like the small crime and the big crime. The little sins, as he said it, lead to big sins, so you snuff out the little sins.
He's got a point.
He has got a point, because the people that he pulls over is the character played Quiet. We find out her name is played by Stephanie Beatriz and her brother in the series, and he pulls them over for looting. So they've got caught looting, and he gives them a choice, gives them a gun. It's like, one of you either both die or one of you kills yourself. Simple. And I let the other one go, and you learn from your mistake. It's rough justice, but I kind of understand it, and I kind of think to myself, if there's a way to turn things around, maybe it's got to be this severe. Maybe it's got to be like, there's no like, oh, okay, we'll let you off this time. It's no, 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 you're done. Done. But then
And it's
again,
that
also,
podcast ending, by the way.
but then on the other hand, the way to look at it as well, you could say is they've got no choice but to loot and do these things. So that
No,
it's
you got to. Again, if you take it in the aspect of Fallout, which I know millions of people have played, then it can only be X amount of ways. Fallout does one thing superbly, which is says at the end of the world, what do we all do? How do we all survive? You know, I mean, it's easy to sit here in a castle made of fucking brick and stone and say that, like, oh yeah, we did the right thing. But when the world has ended and you're against everybody, what would you do realistically? Would you do the right thing? I know you want to, but it's about your family versus theirs. It's not as clear cut as things make it seem. So I appreciate what's going on in this story, because when this world has ended and I'm kicked out on the street, so I'm not rich enough to live within the city borders, you will do anything. And I mean anything to live. So I might be wrong, kids. You can put it in the comments below. You can tell me I'm wrong. But like, I just don't see it. I got to be realistic about this situation.
It's a difficult one though, isn't it? Because like I say, like I can understand both sides of it. The only way to bring back law and order is to cut out everything.
Yes.
So you've got to
100%.
rule that with an iron fist. But then, like you say, you are left with little to no choice. Either starve to death or get like taken by bandits, vigilant, other factions, whatever. Like, so there is, because, and the reason I say this is because there's two things. We obviously, which will lead us into episode 2. So we see this is in like episode 1 that he's like, you guys were looting, so I'm going to make you kill one of yourselves. But then in episode 2, to move them along, we see 2 people who are like literally in bathtubs, who are tied up, and they're in a like a
farming situation, I guess.
Well, they're pretty much they're being ready to be killed to be eaten. So
yeah,
obviously people have turned into cannibals, which once again, it's not.
No one can deny the fact that if meat is all ended,
it would happen. It's like there are some portions of civilization that would quite happily chow down on people. Like, let's just be honest.
Man meat. TJ.
Well, and female meat. I'm an equal opportunist cannibal. It's fine. So and they go and like, so these 2 guys are chained up, and around them you've got feet and arms and legs hanging up as they're carving up, and they're ready, and they're cooking up a storm, and a nice little Barry brisket being made over there, and like and then all of a sudden, this guy, he just got that, did you?
It's the alcohol, dude. It takes a while.
So and then Stone and his band of merry men come in and wipe out all the cannibals and free the guys, and you're like, hell yeah, exactly. Like this is a good thing, because you don't want people eating people, so yeah, get rid of them fuckers. But then obviously it turns again, because you've got people. They set up an ambush where the 2 guys they rescue, they're like, come and join us, become part of our police force, if you will. But you need to do a test first of all to get the good stuff. And the test is, we've put a truck out there, and if anyone comes along, it's got all supplies in it. Anyone touches that truck, you've got to kill them. And the people that come along are people who need food to survive. They're like struggling like anyone else. They see a truck just there. They're like, fucking hell, this might be a lucky day. I might find something in them. and they're being told you've got to kill these people because they're obviously going to loot from this truck.
Yeah.
But you've put that truck there to entice them to loot. So
Exactly.
it's
So how do you work out what's good from bad?
exactly, yeah. It's a difficult one because on one side you're like, yeah, they've killed the cannibals, which is 100% the right thing to do. But on the other hand, they're like, it seems like if you jaywalked, he'd put a hole in your head, you know?
Yeah.
So
That's the issue. That's the issue. I mean, like, you know, the problem is that like nothing in life is black and white, and you know, a lot of people. The world would be easier if it's all black and white. It was like, oh, this is good, this is bad, but like, you all forget about the grey. You all forget about the thing where it's like, well, my moral quandary. What, you know, I don't want to kill this person who's got a family and someone to feed. You know, the moral quandary. You can't just sit there and go, oh yeah, but I need to live, so therefore, fuck them. You know, it's that is what this program is displaying. It's like it's a, well, we need to live, and you need to live. So how do we do this? And some people just choose, well, fuck them, because me. And I only say this because I played a lot of GTA earlier, but like GTA explains it very, very well. GTA 5 especially, which is like essentially, yeah, everyone needs to live, but not everyone can live. So you got to make a choice, and that choice is on you. You don't get to get the win because there is no win. The life is something it's humans themselves get to make this weird quandary before anything where it's like, well, I have a gun, so I can end you and I can change my life irrevocably. Or you have a gun and you can end my life irrevocably. Or we both have one. And how does this work? And the way it works is it's the person who shoots first. It's the Wild West. And I know everyone will say that the Wild West ended years and years and years ago. But the Wild West still exists. Except it's money now. And who can buy who. And this TV show shows it exactly that. She's like, well, I got more guns than you, so you got to stop. And that is, unfortunately, the world. So it's, I don't know. I don't know, dude. I'm fucking, I'm just fucking, I'm just annoyed, I think. I'm just annoyed about how the world works and how it is. And this TV show ultimately shows that, like, well, you know, the rich and the powerful win, and the weak and the powerless don't, and that's it.
well, we don't know if that's how the series is going to pan out.
No, you're right. You're right. You don't, and you know, it's a TV show, so it's always going to go that way. But like, don't leave me talking for too long, please.
Well, going back then to the series, then obviously the Stephanie Beatriz, like I say, her and her brother got caught by by Stone and his group of police. Her brother decides to take his own life, leaving her, and then she stumbles back across John Doe on his way, making it across Vegas to head towards Chicago. And then we obviously introduced to who I think will become as pivotal a character in the series as
Oh yes,
John
Sweet
Doe,
Tooth.
Sweet Tooth, obviously played by Samoa Joe, voiced by Will Arnett, and I have to say, watching this part, this 15-minute middle section of the episode, 10-minute middle section of the episode, it actually fell a little bit flat for me. Like, obviously,
Yes.
you've probably all seen the trailer if you haven't seen the episode where he's doing the thong song and he's beating up Anthony Mackie.
It wasn't too bad, but like when they
But
get
then-
into the
the as they try and flush out Sweet Tooth's character, I understand why they did it. Like, Sweet Tooth is obviously escaped from a mental prison. He's now living in a casino in Vegas. His best friend is a bag called Hank.
was there a bag? I thought
It was a brown paper bag. I don't know if I think there's going to be something inside it, but we only see the brown paper bag.
I thought it was a stone. Honestly, I thought it was just
It's
a
no,
bit
no,
of
no.
rock.
It's no. It's a brown paper bag, but there's something in it, and we don't know what's in it. And obviously, yeah, he puts on a performance, and he's tied himself to Vegas. Vegas is where he's going to stay. Like, if anyone comes in, he fucks them up, but that's it. And unwittingly, John Doe and Quiet, Anthony Mackie and Stephanie Beatriz, unwittingly unleash Sweet Tooth in the world because they tell him he needs to expand his horizons.
Yeah.
He needs to get out more. He needs to do more. And what they mean is he needs to get out of the casino. His idea is, I need to get out of Las Vegas. I need to travel. And they're like, shit, we've just unleashed this fucker on the world. And he is as psychotic as you can imagine,
Yes.
plus 10.
I will say that, like, from a film point of view, he needed to be unleashed, so I
Yes.
understand why
Yeah.
the film understood it.
I mean, he's played very, very well. It's like, it must be a difficult thing to have a different voice actor to, like, the person portraying the motions on screen, but they fit it together very, very well. Samoa Joe, like, the look of him, he's big, he's bulbous, he's got this 1,000-yard stare that's like, I'm gonna murder your whole family going on.
Yeah.
That's perfect. The mask is on point, and Will Arnett puts
I
this...
almost understand why, like, Will Arnett had to voice him, because Will Arnett has got such
It puts something on his voice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The comedic points come through with such high levity, but then the darkness and the grittiness, like, he does it so well. He's got so much range. Like, Will Arnett, to me, is one of those very underrated actors that can play a multitude of roles, but he's been, like, kind of pigeonholed, unfortunately, into, like, in terms of his actual, like, on-screen performances, he's pigeonholed into, but this is what you're going to do. You're going to be a comedic actor. Like, you know, whereas he should be given, like, he could effectively be given the role of, like, a Riddler or something in, like, a Batman, and I think do it very, very well, because he's
100%.
got
mate.
that.
I back you 100%.
In like, just in his inflections and everything, he's very, very strong. But unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever really see him in that. But this kind of, like, shows it. He couldn't play Sweet Tooth. He's too skinny. He's far too small.
He couldn't do that.
But he can voice Sweet Tooth perfectly. You know, and
And
with
Samoa Joe is actually a really good, intimidating.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Fucking
He looks.
respect.
Well, you look at him, and he looks like he wouldn't look out of place in Mad Max. You know, in
No,
what he's
no, he
wearing. I
wouldn't.
mean, he's got clown pants on, which is a little bit weird, but then he's got the level brace thing going on, and then the mask, and he's got this, like, machete that looks like he's welded two fuck off knives together. It's like, you know, his truck. I need to know who souped up his truck, because it outrun the Subaru, which was amazing.
Crazy.
Like, it made no fucking sense at all. But yeah, and they've unleashed him in the world, and you kind of like, they've done it kind of was like I say, for like a 10-minute period, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, okay, this is like, okay, I understand. But then by the end of it, you understand why it needed to be like it, so it kind of fitted. It wasn't, if they'd have just ended it flat or they killed him or something, you'd have been like, well, that's just shit. And it would have put a real dampener on the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
But the way they unfolded, because it's like, oh, shit. Oh, okay, we've just ramped this up now, because I've just had to, like, we've just had this lull, but now we're fucking potentially going off a cliff with this shit.
Exactly, because Sweet Tooth is going to be forever either pursuing them or he's going to be dealing with the situation that they're dealing with.
I wonder if he's going to be one step ahead of them and they're going to be following his carnage.
Potentially.
As opposed to, because I don't get why he would be chasing them after he let them go. That's why I wonder if they're going to follow his carnage. It's going to be a role reversal on our normal cat and mouse. So a normal cat and mouse would be you're being chased. Whereas I wonder now if they're following behind in the carnage.
Yeah.
You know.
Because
And
let's
maybe
face
the
it,
cat and
like
mouse-
their car can't do the level of damage that the chain guns that you see on
Sweet
the
tooth.
ice cream truck.
Yeah.
So
I also wonder if the cat and mouse might actually come from the police, from like Stone and his police.
oh, he's definitely
Maybe
coming back.
I'm wondering if like maybe Stone thinks that this carnage that Sweet Tooth, I'm just putting this out there, maybe the carnage Sweet Tooth does is them.
Yeah.
And there's like this whole triangle of like shit going on, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
As I say, like I don't think that the series is bad.
No.
I think the series has actually got
promise.
some intrigue about it because they haven't followed. I mean, it's a rare occasion, but it's like they've not followed what the game wants
It's a good
to do.
thing that they haven't, right? It's a good thing.
No, I agree. I think that they found a niche and gone, oh, well, there's a story here without following what. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. The main story of Just Metal was that Calypso wanted everyone to get into a battle royale. So it's almost better that you haven't got a Calypso now who he drove a tank. So do you know what I mean? Like,
I would
imagine win.
Well, maybe we will get Calypso's a character, right?
Yeah, Calypso's a
maybe
character.
we'll get Calypso like later on. Maybe Calypso's something to do with the shit in New Chicago.
In Chicago, yeah, in New Chicago, which would make sense. You know, because a man's got a tank, he's gonna ultimately be the boss of outside of New Chicago, right?
Yep, Chicago, yeah.
So, but my problem is that everyone wants something more. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, everyone wants like, oh, but it, you know, I don't want Calypso to be the ending or whatever. But like, I'm just, well, you gotta understand that like, you can't always have like everything just end within an episode, because if you have it end within an episode, you gotta build a story. You gotta build a story that comes to a conclusion. And even though Sweet Tooth will be killed in, I don't know, episode 6 or something, then you gotta have the, well, why is Calypso like he is, and what's worse than Calypso? Do you know what I mean? Like a 24 story.
Mm.
If you watch the series 24, like they would 12 episodes in, they go like, oh, okay, you've killed the bad guy, but there's 12 episodes left, so what are you gonna do about this? And I always found that intriguing because I was like, oh, shit. You know, I thought the game was over, but now there's more game to be told. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I'm so drunk.
Yes. yes, you are. Yes.
I can hear it in my own voice, which is sad.
But yeah, so like, I mean, just to draw the pretty much after they like the next episode's going to be obviously like episode 3 where we pick it up. John and Quiet, who have now obviously decided to team up, Stephanie Beatriz and Anthony Mackie, have stumbled across at the end of episode 2. They've stumbled across the police, this stone and his compound, and that's pretty much where episode 2 leaves us. So episode 3 is going to pick up there. I imagine episode 3, obviously, we're going to see how they work their way through that. I imagine we'll see Sweet Tooth again. I don't think we'll have an episode without Sweet Tooth.
I think Sweet Tooth is always going to be almost an afterthought.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I think he'll be an afterthought, but have key pivotal moments.
Oh yeah.
Like as the story goes
what
on,
he does.
I think we might I think we'll see clips of him in episode 3, but I don't think he'll have anything major happen. I think maybe that builds a little bit later on. But yeah, I might be completely wrong. He might fucking go balls to the wall and fucking murder everyone in this episode 2. You never know.
I gotta be honest, dude. I think he's gonna go not silent, but it's gonna be like a build up, and what's the word I'm after? If you think in the realms of Breaking Bad,
Yeah, an escalation.
yeah. So he's gonna escalate, and then they're gonna think he's done.
Yeah,
But like he's gonna show up at the end is the way I think about it. Because I don't think they're gonna give up on the Will and Annette thing. I think they're gonna. Well, I mean, if you got Will and Annette, I mean, you're not gonna just.
Oh, he's going to be in it.
by
He's going to be in it for yeah. I think. Yeah, I get what you mean. I think Sweet Tooth's got a long run still to go. Without I'm staying away from who's in however many episodes and whatnot and all that.
No.
So that's the other thing. You go on IMDb, you can actually
I'll be honest. I don't think they'll do a Calypso. I think they're gonna just. I think Sweet Tooth's got to be the end call, right?
I suppose it depends.
I mean, even
where
if
they
you
plan to go, if
even
they've got
though
ideas.
they know where he is, I just think but if you drop Calypso at the end of the episode, I mean,
where'd you go for season 2? Where'd you go for season 2?
Yeah, exactly.
If they've got ideas for season 2, maybe you hold Calypso back, or necessarily because you're building a new world around an established premise. It doesn't matter if we kill Calypso because we can bring something else in because we've got the loose makings of a story, but we can expand on that. Very much like, they do it all the time, don't they? Where they move on past, they move on past the Game of Thrones, didn't they? They only had so much medium.
Yeah.
Once they finished that medium, they decided, okay, we need to, make up our own shit now. I mean, we all know that. I mean, Walking Dead have done it as well, haven't they? Walking Dead
work out well, dude.
Walking Dead have decided, to expand it past certain parameters and everything. So maybe Calypso is the bad guy. Maybe they kill him. Maybe there's a season 2 where it moves on into something. There's someone else. The great thing that with this kind of future, this kind of world, there is umpteen amounts, as we've seen in Mad Max, in all those type of films, there's always someone worse. Somewhere along the line, there's always going to be somewhere worse. So
yeah, I sort of know what you're saying, but I'm just like, well, because in the game, they, I think they go to New York, New York rooftops is where I'm thinking of. So. If they go, I'm just trying to think. If they go to New York rooftops, then they will definitely try and make a second season out of it, because Calypso can't be the end. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's done well. From what I understand of the numbers, it's done well. TJ, you need to stop me because I'm just talking.
Okay, dude. Okay. Well, what we'll do is then. Well, the one other thing that I did want to say, and we can pretty much tie this all up now in a nice, neat little bow to end the podcast. But like one thing I would say is audio wise as well, like the music that they picked to put in this, very
Yes.
good. I think some of the cinematography in this has been very strong as well. We would normally do some of the reviews, but I think maybe we'll leave that to next time.
No, we'll leave that till next time.
We'll leave that till next
we've
time.
only got. I'll be honest, a lot of them are coming out as 8 out of 10s.
Well, the overall on IMDb for 1 and 2 is 7.4 and 7.8. So yeah, they're going to be, between most of them probably between your 6s and 8s, 6s and 9s to get those.
I'll be honest, I looked earlier and I couldn't see, like, particularly, like a ridiculously low score. They're very much, I enjoyed it and yada yada yada, but like no one was. It's almost like no one was committed to saying like, "Oh, this is dog shit."
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when I watched it, I mean, I gotta be honest, I was expecting a lot more
hate.
Yeah, I was, dude. I was, I thought this. Oh yeah, it's gonna go down badly. Because it's Twisted Metal, and
I think that's where possibly, like we were saying earlier, I think the expectation, you don't know what to expect, like because you can't make it like the game. Like we watched The Last of Us, we watched the reviews we read the reviews for The Last of Us, and everyone was like had a bone to pick with. Oh well, the game did this, but the series did this. All the people that were moaning about it, they're like, well, the game did this and the series did this. You can't do that really with Twisted Metal because it's a concept rather than a story in essence.
Yeah, exactly that.
So they've taken this concept and they've made a story using that concept. So you you can't go in there and go, well, in the game, this isn't the game. It's just the concept around the game that's been expanded into a larger story for a TV show.
Yeah.
So you can't go in there with the misconceptions of, well, I want it to be just like the game, because the game isn't a story-driven game like a Last of Us, a Resident Evil.
The best story that the game ever gave was, the world ended, everyone's in a fight.
Yeah, and which is pretty much, where we're at. So they've covered that point, and now where they go with it is going to be interesting. I think it's interesting because we'll get to see some creative chops from the development team, from the producers and everything, and see where they go with it. Because obviously they're not. The Last of Us was very much in most part very like for like. It was like quotes from the game were exactly the same. Action sequences were exactly the same where they could be. Obviously, there was a lot of walking and talking and a lot of action scenes that they had to take out.
Like Twisted Metal had carte blanche, didn't they? To a certain degree.
Yeah, exactly.
Carte blanche.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So it's going to be nice to see where they go. It's not an original story, but it almost could be. Do you know what I mean? Like they haven't got a fixed thing to follow. In essence,
it was an original story.
No. I mean with this. What I mean is with this is they haven't got any fixed. They've got a few little plot points, but other than that, it's no fixed. Like let's say a story to it that they have to adhere to. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with it. But
well, I'll be honest, mate. I'm more interested in a Twisted Metal story than I am Last of Us, which was, let's face it, a sad story that like they couldn't go wrong.
Yeah.
So like Twisted Metal is at least going like, well, I don't know where we're gonna go with this, but like
that's where the intrigue.
We've got nothing. Exactly. We've got nothing to sell us on. We're just throwing ideas together in an apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
And saying like, oh, would this work? Would this not work? So I almost applaud them because their story is cohesive. It's at least, like where they're going. Okay, well, this would exist. This wouldn't exist. People driving between A and B would at least make sense. I mean, I don't know about so much about insulin because I'd like to think that New San Francisco would have it, but like, whatever.
I think if you're getting to a point of like what he could be possibly going and getting, I think that's going to unfold. It's going to be something serious enough to I don't think we've seen the worst of Nev Campbell, is what I'm saying. Like, I think
No.
I think
I mean,
I think we've seen a teaspoon of what she's actually got, and I think that's going to come to the forefront when we find out what it is.
I mean, I suppose it comes back to like, what would you sacrifice to make sure that your world was fine? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those questions where it's like, well, at the end of the world, if it meant sacrificing 3 humans to make sure that your world was secure, would you do it? Which I'm not asking you to answer, but like, it becomes a question, doesn't it? It becomes, well, I've got to sacrifice 3. Sacrifice, let's just arguably say 1 million. Like, is it even a question?
Yeah, it's a question. It's one, thankfully, I'm never going to have to answer. Hopefully.
No, exactly, dude, exactly. But that's sort of my point. Is like, Nev Campbell may have become hard and
by necessity. By necessity, yeah. And you probably find, like we said with The Last of Us, we only get to see the story through the prism of one side. We don't know her story. We saw the prism of The Last of Us through Joel and Ellie's story. All the other people, they're bad guys to us. But if we were watching it through their eyes, Joel and Ellie are the bad guys. And that's what gets forgotten. Like, we're viewing Nev Campbell and we're making these assumptions and thinking, oh my god, she's gonna be a horrible bitch. We don't know what the fuck she's been through to make her like that. We may find out as the series progresses, but who knows? But I'm definitely here to find that out. And I think
exactly, dude. Exactly, like, it's not an easily answered question.
No,
it's like, oh, I've made a choice, but I can't be certain on like, what my choice was. It's like, well, I made this choice based on the information, but you didn't get all of the information. You got a segment of the information. So, I don't know. It's such a quandary of like, well, am I right? Am I wrong?
I think we need more information to come anywhere near answering that question.
No, I agree, dude.
Hopefully we'll find that series goes. But to wrap things up, I would say for the first 2 episodes, there's enough. For me personally, there's been enough intrigue, enough interest. I think it's flowed quite well. Like I say, a couple of little points in episode 2 that I felt were kind of flat, but then I understood the reasoning for them to flat, because the pickup after it opens up a whole world of possibilities and just make it like. And I think so far so good for a series that I had
100%.
I won't say I had high expectations for, but I also won't say I had low expectations for. I'd just say I had intrigue, and so far it's definitely keeping me intrigued, and I think this is going to be a decent season, a decent series.
Yeah,
let's say.
Yeah.
It may well go up or down by the end of it. I don't know. It might be amazing. It might be absolute dog shit. But at the moment, it's moving along quite nicely.
If we're going to talk about the first 2 seasons, then I'm going to say that that it had its highs and lows. So, but I will say that Anthony Mackie has played it very, very well.
Yep.
I will say that Will Arnett has played it very, very well. You know, I don't think it's an easy role for anyone to play because ultimately, you know, you're playing a situation where no one knows you. It's not like playing Falcon, or it's not the same as playing, Lego Batman. So therefore, you've only got like what you can give to the role. So I will say that like they've played it incredible, and I'm interested personally. Of seeing what goes on further. Will it be amazing? Who knows? But they are working towards it,
Yep.
and I don't think you should dismiss it. The listeners of this pod, I don't think you should dismiss it just because you had disparages against any of the characters or anything. But I think you should watch it. I think you should check it out, make your own opinions, and hopefully let us know. Just ultimately let us know what you thought. Because at the moment, I want to see what happens next. That's how I sit.
Yep. Totally.
You know, I want to see what happens next. It's very rare that I say that about a series because some series within episode 1 and 2, you're just like, I don't really care. But I am kind of interested in what happens next from this series. I want to see like where they end. I want to see what they give. As I said to you, like Auntie Mackie has come a long way since 8 Mile.
Yeah.
Really, he's come along. Don't forget the Marvel shit. He has become this tour de force of an actor, and I actually really appreciate him more in this than I'd seen him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I thought, well, I felt like he was comedic. I felt he had purpose. Whereas in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was like, yeah, you're playing the role. And I get it. So, I don't know, dude. It's hard to win over anyone in the internet. So, but my feeling is that Twisted Metal, I don't know, man. Probably 7, if not 8 out of 10.
So far.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah. I'd be on board with that. Like I say, an average then of a 7.5. I'd be on board with that.
You know, it's not winning an award, but like it is doing what it needs to do.
It's the kind of series that, yeah, like it's not hard hitting drama, but you don't want it to be. Sometimes you just need a series that you can put on for half an hour or an hour, depending, or even a film that's an hour and a half, 2 hours long, that you can just sit down and you don't need to inception it. It doesn't need
Exactly.
You don't need a Mensa degree, a degree from Cambridge or something to actually figure out the story. You just want some
Just turn your brain off.
Yeah, fun.
Watch the fucking film.
Interesting, like I say, show, TV show, movie, whatever. Like a fun and interesting story that you can just follow. And you don't need to think too much about it. You can just enjoy what's going on screen.
Exactly.
Like I say, it's not going to win an Oscar. It's not going to win an Emmy or anything like that. But it's just fun. And sometimes
That's all I
especially
want,
with the
man.
world like it is sometimes. You know, sometimes just being able to sit down and enjoy yourself and not worry about the shit that's going on around you and watch an episode or something like this, it's well worth it, you know. So
I agree, dude. I think the world has got too obsessed with, oh, it's got to be Emmy award winning before I watch it. And I'm just like, well, what happened to just fun? What happened to just watching things for fun? Do you know what I mean? I'm not signaling anyone out. TJ, you might have to fucking end this with me, dude.
yeah, okay, that's fine. We can draw it there. So hopefully, like, you guys have enjoyed the pod, the ramblings of Jay up there, like, you know, and myself. We will endeavour to be back better than ever next time with episodes 3 and 4 of Twisted Metal. And like I say, there is comment section down below. Feel free to leave us a comment if you want to, like, you know, criticise, or you want to shower us with applause. We'll take everything. We take it all on board. We take it all
Jay's
on board.
A drunken cunt. I get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to call him, his lips, not mine. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, for giving us the time of day, and yeah, we shall be back next time with episodes 3 and 4. He is formerly Firefly Zero, now just drunken Jay Morris. And I'm the proper TJ, streaming over on Twitch on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday, so we hope to catch you over there. Much love to everyone. Peace out. See you later. Stay safe, be awesome. Bye-bye.
Let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never, you know I'm taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you, I ain't never, so let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never, you know I'm taking that crown from you. I ain't worried about you.